I'm Matt. Today, Korg announced a whole slew of new products, a few of which I found intriguing and exciting. And I haven't had a lot of chance to dive into the announcements just yet. I hope to do that in the next day or so. But just on the surface, there's some things that excited me about the KingKorg Neo and the new microKORG, microKORG 2, whatever they're going to call it. And I just wanted to take a second and talk about what the releases of those two maybe signal in my mind and why I'm excited about them. So the KingKorg has always been an intriguing synthesizer to me. It just doesn't ever seem like it got a lot of love. Maybe it wasn't produced in large quantities. I'm not really sure. But I did find it interesting that the KingKorg Neo has been announced, and a tip of the cap to the old KingKorg. I'm not going to go into a lot about it. Obviously, like I said, I haven't seen too much on it, read too much on it just yet. But one of the things that I found kind of puzzling is 37 keys. And I understand, the form factor will be the same as what they have with the Op6, the Mod Wave, and the Wave State. So it's kind of cool that it fits into that form factor. But I found over the last couple of years, I upgraded the Korg Prologue from the 49 key to the 61 just because 49 keys was not enough real estate for me to play a synthesizer. I needed the extra octave. And so the idea in my mind of having a virtual analog synthesizer that's only 37 keys is it's a little bit perplexing, and it's definitely a reason that I wouldn't consider picking up the KingKorg. Of course, you have that one and you've got the microKORG too. But here's what I think is cool and makes me hopeful for the future is that a while back I talked about how I thought it would be neat if Korg would, do some reproductions similar to what Roland did with the Juno and the Jupiter, where they have a modern day synthesizer that emulates those old synths. They do a lot more as well, but it harkens back to those old vintage analog synths. I've kind of thought over time it would be neat if they would, maybe make an updated Poly 6 or a mono poly or, any number. There's a whole number of things they could redo. But then I've also thought it might be neat at some point if they would, like right now the Kronos doesn't have what I would consider a true successor. I know Korg says that Nautilus is the successor. They added Aftertouch to the Nautilus in the last few months, and so I guess that makes it a little more proper. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that road. But where I was going with that was, I kind of thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if the new Kronos successor would be like the M1, Mark II or whatever you want to call it, but something that's a throwback to some of the vintage workstations of the past, but with all the bells and whistles and sounds and everything you'd want on a workstation today. It's just basically keeping the namesake, but maybe style it the same. They could do that with the Trinity or the Triton or the M1. Take your pick. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling here. But the point is, seeing Korg come out with updated versions of their own synthesizers makes me think, well, maybe at some point we might see some of those reissues of something like a workstation, or again, any of their vintage analog lines, if they reproduce those. That would also be cool. And I was thinking too that, from what I can tell, the Korg Prologue is out of production in both models. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I think is happening. So I found myself thinking today, well, man, what a great way to continue their full-size analog line than to reintroduce, the Poly 6, for example, a modern Poly 6. That would just be super cool. So anyway, that's why those announcements that came out today make me hopeful and make me excited to see what's coming next. I'm not going to talk about the price on the KingKorg Neo. If what I read, and again, I was picking up things in passing today, but if the $1,000 price tag is correct, that stings a little bit if you were interested in getting one. Like I said, the 37 keys to me is more of a barrier than I'm willing to overcome at this point. But all that aside, I am hopeful and excited to see what's coming next. And anyway, thanks for sticking around. We'll see you in the next video.